a presentation coming from our chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Mark Nicholson. So, Mark, if you would like to step to the mic, clue us on what.
Absolutely, and thank you very much. And thank you for allowing me to come in here. I know I probably asked in short notice, but I appreciate you doing that. One of the things that I wanted to bring you to up to speed on was the Zoning Board of Appeals has been looking at the size of what we call, or what is called in your definitions, accessory structures. And when you think about that, what I want you to think about is think about sheds in the backyard. And how does somebody build them? Right now, they are maximum of 120 feet. They are maximum or 1% of your property size, and within 10 feet of your property line. One of the things that has taken place is I understand you guys have changed the property setbacks to now 5 feet within the property line. So someone can get within that 10 feet and go to 5 feet, and that's on the books right now. One of the things that we were looking at, and why do we get involved in this? Well, we get involved usually for variances that are requested when someone is asking for a larger than 120 square feet. 120 square feet, usually 10 by 12. That's usually what a shed is. Right now, some of the sheds that are being built are larger than that. And so the reason for folks to come to us and ask was for a variance. We have in most cases been granting the variances, but we began to take a look at this and look at some of the things that the other towns and villages were doing. And with the help of our attorney, who looked at some of the other towns, 5 feet was very consistent with that. Some of the other property sizes were larger. So what we did is we talked about what we could do with this and how will we do it. And ours is only a recommendation. Any changes to the code that takes place would have to come from you guys as the board of the Village of Webster. We thought about three major changes. One is the 5 feet, so that allows you to get close enough to the property line, and that was in most cases if you were 8 feet and nobody looked the other direction. But right now you can go 5 feet within the property line. The second thing was size. We upped the size to 144 square feet, our recommendation, square feet. That's essentially 12 by 12. Does that mean somebody can't build a 12 by 16? No, absolutely not. But when they come to getting the 12 by 16 permit from the village, they would have to come before the board and get a variance. So we will still grant those variances or have that ability if we go to 12 by 12. The other thing that we talked about in there, and we asked you guys to consider, is the height. And that was one that I got a personal issue with because I have seen some in some of the other towns and issues, and they're high. And so right now it's limited to 10 feet. What we're doing is we're making a recommendation to you guys to consider taking that up to 12 feet. Now, those are the three changes. Does that mean somebody can't build a 14 or 16 foot? Absolutely not. What that means though is that they will come to the board, ask for a variance, and present the reason for that variance in their backyard. And all the things that we did, why did we do this? Well, we began to see a fair number of these over the last couple, 3 years, and I don't have the exact number in my head, but we saw a number of variance requests for backyards to put in a larger shed or closer to the property line. So what we did was just, what's it doing in other towns? We got that moved from 10 feet to 5 feet, which seems to make sense. We got the height moved, or the recommendation to move the height from 10 feet to 12 feet, and the size from 120 to 144 square feet. And by the way, the code will also currently says, or 1% of the total property size. I think we leave that in there. But that's what we're looking at. Those are the recommendations that we've come up with. The board will have to make a decision on that. They change the codes. We don't change the codes, we just interpret them once they're done. And at that point, I'm going to stop, see if anybody has any questions, anything that came before us, anything like that.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Now, I don't,
Carl's been at most of our meetings, so he's been active in the process and been able to input to that.
I do have a question. In the old village, I would call it the old village, a number of the properties are 50 feet wide, and many of the garages are basically almost on the property line as they were built.
Correct.
Do they have like a grandfather clause to them if the pre-existing garage is there and they would change the size of it or change the height of it? Or
Yes, they do have a grandfather, if you will, as the appropriate clause. If they're built and they're in that position right now, and they were that way when they set up the regulations for the code for the village, then they would stay in there, be, as you said, grandfathered in. There would be no request to change. We wouldn't ask for a request. It's there. We've got a date on the date of building, and that would be it.
Okay.
I think the increase is fair, for sure.
Thank you, sir. I think it's fair too.
Okay.
Okay?
Anybody else?
Good, pretty self-explanatory.
I appreciate that, Mark, since it will be coming to us. Maybe we'll see more of you.
There you go.
Maybe we'll see more of
You're gonna see more of us.
you see him, but
We do see them on a regular basis, but if we ever come across with major changes or recommendations for changes, because we don't make changes to the code. We implement the code as it is written and we interpret it as it's written, but any changes would have to come from you guys. Changes to the code comes from you guys, from all of them. All the village codes come from you guys.
thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, gentlemen. You have a great day and a very nice Christmas.
And you too.
Thank you.
You and them, Sam.